as I've promised you, we've got Neil Campbell has joined us from Risk Dashboard Limited, and he's going to tell us all about his business, how it can help small and low and SME businesses, manage their risk, essentially, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Ian. Yes, thanks for inviting me on. The Risk Dashboard helps SMEs by identifying and understanding and then helping them remove their operational risks to growth. And we do this by engaging through the Risk Dashboard's business diagnostic tool, which has been designed specifically for SMEs. Dashboard itself is not overly complicated. It's modular. Modules in our language mean things like health and safety and HR, information security, finance, fraud. In fact, there are 19 modules at present, and they're currently growing. What we do is we allow end users to conduct an audit across their business, which could be multiple locations or multiple users. And the modular platform has built into it a weighted algorithm. So the questions come with a set of rules, and there's a weight to each question. There's no two businesses that are the same. And then once the end user has completed an audit, we present them with some results based on a red, amber, green traffic light reporting system. Then we provide them with a set of actions as a result of them completing their questionnaire. So, for example, Ian, if I ask you here at Beats Radio, do you have a plan to mitigate any ransomware attack? And if you were to say no, that you didn't, then we would provide you with some actions and some help as how to develop something like a ransomware attack should something happen in your business.
Okay, so if we wanted to identify risks, what sorts of categories would those risks fall into?
So this is the modular aspect of what we've developed. So there's 19 modules. There's three versions of the platform. So we have a micro platform for businesses operating less than 10 employees. We then have an SME platform for organisations who employ more than 10, up to, we think, about 250 is the tipping point. And then there's an enterprise version. So we work with chambers of commerce and large firms of accountants, well, not just large firms of accountants in general, who deploy our dashboard, and we can tailor that for them and build certain product lines or service lines into the dashboard purely for their sort of clients or members.
Okay, so the risk isn't especially limited to, for example, as you just said, ransomware or anything like that. It could be measuring the risk of losing key personnel, stock control. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So we have a module for the likes of human resources. A lot of what we try to do with end users is guide them towards applying best practice, but more importantly, understanding their risks when it comes to their statutory obligation. So employing people, a lot of that is geared around the law, such as health and safety as well, the information security officer, which is very new to business when it comes to general data protection regulation. All of this is law. So we try to help people who are not applying the law to fall foul of doing something wrong by showing them what it is they need to do and helping them direct towards applying governance and best practice.
Oh, excellent. And what would you say is of all the modules, my guess is there is probably one that stands above all the others that most people talk about, and what would that one be?
We're just about to launch our manufacturing and engineering module. A lot of them are kind of symbiotic, so one module will reflect on another. So fraud is high when it comes to the results in our dashboard. Information security, rather sadly, is also very high. If you get your information security wrong, especially when it comes to GDPR, and you fall foul of the Information Commissioner's office, then you could find yourself in a very costly place where nobody wants to be. You've only got to look at what's happened recently with regards to the BA fine, British Airways, which of course they're going to be appealing, but that's because of a data breach. So it doesn't matter how big your firm is and how small it is. If somebody finds their way into your organisation and there's some form of breach, be it a ransomware attack or malware or phishing or even disgruntled employees who may be leaving, could cause the business problems, which happened to Morrison's, the supermarket chain, very recently.
Yeah, was that the one where the disgruntled employee decided to take a copy of the supplier's database? Was that the one? Right.
It is, yes. Now,
yes.
What we try to do with the dashboard is just guide people towards applying best practice by showing them what they need to do in their business. And that could be as simple as just training their staff. But in order to do that, part of that action out of our dashboard may be, employ somebody to come in and actually deliver that service for you.
Yes.
The accountants and the chambers of commerce that we're working with use this as, to develop their membership and their client base, but also to potentially send their clients and members work. So if a member in a Chamber of Commerce has identified a problem and they've asked for help, because we have this help function in the dashboard, then the chamber can actually go and inquire with another chamber member to say, here's a local chamber chamber member who needs some support. So it's there's multifacets to the dashboard. In essence, what we try to do is get the business owner to physician heal thyself. We try and give them as much empowerment through links in the dashboard to websites of authority such as the ICO or the ACAS as such, and then we have templates and downloads which allow them to work on their business. So for example, Ian, if you and I are a small organisation and I work for you and you want to undertake my 6 monthly appraisal, you could go into the HR module of the dashboard, download a blank appraisal form. You then complete my appraisal, which I'm sure would be brilliant. Then you upload it back into the dashboard and store that, and then set a reminder to say must do deals next 6 monthly appraisal. So Platformer does many things besides just as an audit tool.
Right, but that in a way, isn't that not creating another potential date? Because now I've updated all your information, put it into the system, and now it's going to come back to me in 6 months' time. Does that become another potential either data breach or?
No, this is just a management tool. We're not saying a HR platform. It's not a health and safety platform. In fact, it's just a management tool to help small businesses understand how to work on their business.
Got it.
As opposed to working outside and not really doing the good things.
Obviously those of you that are not in here, I just licked my finger and stuck it in the air to see which way the wind was blowing, and of course that was exactly right. Okay, let's give Neil a bit of a break now. We'll listen to some music and then we'll be back in a few minutes with some more. Neil and I were just talking and we thought we'd bring up about different types of businesses the risk dashboard is applicable to. Organisations
who have access to large client or membership basis, so chambers, as I said earlier, certainly large accountants or accountancy firms in particular, and they run our dashboard across their clients and their members, and they get the results that come back which help them deliver programs or events, maybe training events such as cybersecurity, or certainly from what we see, businesses that still have not adopted a principle for GDPR. Now, this went into law on the 26th of May 2 years ago, and businesses have still not done anything with regards to their obligation under this act. So we try to help these businesses bring their clients or members in so that they can get training. We're not the training mechanism, we're just the platform which identifies where the opportunities are for support. It's also our partners who are the experts in these areas. So we're a software business, so these people have the expertise which go across our modules, so HR or procurement or technology, health and safety, and that's what we do in essence. We were just chatting about how some data breaches have occurred in the past and where they are malicious. And that was an interesting story. I'd never thought about that. Neil was saying that there was a particular cyber attack carried out by a major power, and it was done by leaving a few memory sticks in strategic places, making them look as if somebody had dropped them, left one behind. And of course, curiosity, somebody saw one, picked it up, took it inside, plugged it into their computer to see what was on it, and the result was, Neil? Well, it was a data breach. In fact, what it demonstrated was that the security company who were probably brought in to test the resilience of the organisation would do this just by dropping some memory sticks around smoking areas of head offices of buildings. I can give you another interesting example, Ian, which was presented to me by a top 5 accountancy firm recently, whereby this boutique investment bank in London invited an ethical hacker or a security company into their organisation to test their resilience for IT. And what they actually did, the hacking company, or not the hacking company, the IT security company, was they actually targeted the chief information officer who invited them in. And they did this through an email inviting him to come along to an alumni dinner at his former university to present how he managed this fantastic career path. And it was a link. So they actually found his passwords once he clicked on this link on his desktop in an Excel file. And this is what we call social engineering. And again, this is a massive attack vector these days for businesses and for people in general. Everybody just uses the internet these days and social media. We do allow ourselves to present too much information, I think, to many businesses, and to the hackers. This is their bread and butter type of data and data data mining.
It just reminds me of years ago. I read there was a security company trying to get in with the Dixons group, if you remember, as they were when they were on the high street, and Dixons kept saying to them, "We don't need, we don't need you. We've got our own policies and procedures in place, and so on." So to prove a point, they targeted, I think it was about a dozen stores on the same day, where men in vans with Dixons written on turned up in brown. I mean, we're going back a long way now. Back into the 80s. Turned up with brown warehouse coats on and a clipboard with bits of paper on, saying, "Right, we've come to pick up some stock that hasn't moved," and read off all these brand product numbers, and actually had the store staff help them load them into the van and took them all away. And they hit 12 stores on the same day, and then contacted Dixons and said, "Do you want to know where all your stock is?"
Well, these are businesses which are presenting proof of concept. I also sit as a member of the Northamptonshire Police Cyber Security Forum, and the police obviously would like to learn more about the types of crimes that are being perpetrated, certainly when it comes to technology. Businesses are extremely reluctant, I guess, in some instances, to contact the police. There's also reputational damage, which could cause that organisation a problem. But unless people get informed or inform the right authorities of what these sort of breaches are, then we're not going to learn from this. But the dashboard is purely a tool, as I said earlier, Ian, which looks to identify within an organisation where there just may be a gap that they just need to raise their game on. And we provide a lot of ways in which, a lot of parts of the solution in which we can do that. Risks are inevitable across an organisation. We're simply there to try and allow businesses to work on their company, as opposed to working inside it in the wrong way. It's a great application. We've got to get it. We've got to, as a business owners, be more alert and more focused on where potential risks are and what they could do as harm to our organisations.
Nice. Now, if any of our listeners out there, if you've just struck a chord with them and they said, "I want to talk to this guy, Neil," how would they contact you?
Well, I can be found on our website, which is www.riskdashboard.co.uk, or give the office a call. You'll find our details on our website. It's all available, and we'd be quite happy. There's an opportunity to get access to our platform, run an audit for your business, and see what the results are.
Okay, and so a telephone number if anybody wants to scribble. Pens at the ready, guys.
07713 247 202.
Sorry, I didn't realise that was. I was expecting some office number or something, but no.
I'd have given you the office number if I could have remembered it.
I suppose you never phone your own office.
No, I don't.
Because I don't, because if I'm not in my office, nobody will answer it.
Well, we store our numbers on our telephones these days, so we don't.
That's right.
It's there at a click of a button. Or in fact, you just have to ask for it.
Do you know, we were having exactly the same conversation at the weekend about driving and remembering where to go. We used to be able to remember. Well, I used to cover London, the East End of London, as part of my patch as a rep. Never even used to look at an A to Z. We didn't have sat-navs then. Yeah. But now, I can't drive anywhere without having to put the sat-nav on. I try to pacify myself, telling myself it's because it'll tell me whether the traffic's bad or not and reroute me around it. But it's just, you just don't remember, you just follow it.
Well, I used my sat-nav to get here this morning, Ian, which told me exactly how long I was going to be, the route I had to take, and life couldn't be easier.
It couldn't, could it? Yeah. But we don't remember telephone numbers, we don't remember routes. No. Like that chap who drove off the edge of a dock in I think it was in Bournemouth, because he was blindly following the sat-nav, and the sat-nav told him to turn left where the either used to be a bridge or whatever, and just plop into the water. Well, that's extreme. A bit extreme. Neil, thank you very much indeed for coming in, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you can come back at some time, maybe focus on specific areas, and that people, I don't know, if I said to you, come up with the top 5 areas that people need the most help with, the most arm twisting, probably GDPR would be right up there, and perhaps we can make it a sort of little segments that can go in shows and go out on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'd be delighted, Ian. Our data is it gives you all of that level of information across all of the modules. We give you the top 5, top 15, top 20 risks, and we can allow some businesses just to focus on some of them. I'd be delighted. So thanks for the invitation.
Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
This is Beetroot Radio, community radio for Rushton and the Nen Valley. Find us online and on mobile.